Welcome to episode 52 of the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle, and this is a very special episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 52. 52. 5-2. The Medium in the Middle podcast has been online for over a full year, but including breaks, we're at week 52. 52 times I have sat down at this microphone to record. I just can't even put into words how big this feels for me, how important today is, this episode 52. So to start off, I have so many things to say for this episode, but I would like to officially retire my intro. My intro is what I recorded a year ago, and I talk about the last year of my journey into mediumship, but now it has been 2 years. That intro is retired, and next week there will be a new one. But I just wanted to really reflect on this year and reflect on 1 year of podcasting. It has been so incredible, and I can't believe that it flew by so quickly. I still remember it took me about 3 months to get started. I had to order the equipment. I had to figure out how to use the equipment. I had to find somewhere where it didn't echo, which took me about a month to figure out how to do that. I had to record that intro, which took me about 18 times, and I wanted to pull my hair out because I hated it. And once I got started, it was just the ball was rolling, and every Tuesday I had to release an episode. And I am just a 30-year-old girl sitting in my bedroom in Banff, Alberta, with a microphone telling her story of how she realized she could talk to spirits and what happened ever since. So I can't even begin to explain what has happened over the past year, the people that I've met and connected with. Now I have a website. Now I have online services. Now I do online Reiki trainings. If you would have told me this a year ago, I wouldn't have believed you, but the journey has been incredible, and the podcast has become a huge passion of mine. And I'm really happy and proud to say that I am so damn proud of myself. For 52 weeks, I have gotten to this microphone. I've edited, I've recorded, I've had a huge learning curve about how to podcast, and I've done it all for mostly free. So up until a few months ago, I wasn't making any money off the podcast, and I still don't make money off the podcast directly, but it has led me to many other online ventures. So I'm so grateful for that. But my drive to keep going was something because I knew that there was a reason behind this. I knew people needed to hear my story. I know I had to share it. My personal growth over this past year has been indescribable with Reiki, with mediumship. I've taken a mediumship course. I've added Akashic Records. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot toot, I am proud of myself. So although I'm not offering mediumship readings yet, it is something I'm building towards, and this podcast has given me the courage and the tools and the people in my life to help me with my skills, and it's just been an incredible year. So thank you for listening to me this past year. If you found me recently, thank you for being caught up to episode 52. I'm so happy to be sharing my journey. I'm happy to be connecting with everyone online to help them in their journey. And I'm so amazed at the amount of support there is and how many people have reached out to me over the past year, thanking me for my podcast, thanking me for my courage to do this, thanking me for sharing my story. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to do what I love and share it with all of you. And there's actually an audience for this because 1 year ago, I was so scared to launch this. It kept me up at night, and something just kept pushing me forward to get this out. And now it's out and it's beautiful. And we're 1 year later looking back. This podcast is like my little baby. So in honor of this year, I am going to do a question and answer. I kind of put it out for it to be anything and everything that you want to know about medium in the middle, about me, about mediumship, about Reiki. I opened the floodgates for questions, and I want to answer as many as I can here today. So let's jump right into it. The first question is, does anyone else in my family have mediumship abilities? Great question. The answer is no, but I've been told that it has come from family and it skips generations. So I'm not sure if kind of like my grandparents' parents or my grandparents' parents' had any abilities. There's nothing really noted. My grandpa did say that his mom was a gypsy, but no one really knows what that meant. So, short answer, no. Long answer, maybe. Next question. Do you know anything about your past lives? And if so, what do you find the most interesting? So, I don't know anything about my past lives directly. I do really want to do a past life regression. But when I was starting the podcast, I remember the fear inside me was insane. And I had been going to my mentor actually before she was my mentor and kind of speaking with her about starting the podcast. And she was like, "Why do you have so much fear?" And I was like, "I literally can't push past this. I'm so afraid to tell my story." And she kind of mentioned that it's because I've been killed before in past lives for doing this type of work, for doing maybe Reiki or witch work. So I've had a few people tell me that in different energetic readings that I have so much fear carried into this life to start the thing because in past lives I've been killed for doing the thing. And that really resonated with me because it just makes sense about why I'm so fearful. I've really moved past a lot of that in the past year, but me a year and a half ago before this podcast was launched was so afraid. It was crazy. So the next question, how do I feel about being a medium in the world today? Ooh, so I still have a really hard time calling myself a medium. I say it and it's like, ugh, like, what did I just say? For Reiki, it's fine, but to just put a label on the mediumship thing, still really, I'm not comfortable with it. And that's my own issues of my spiritual closet and coming out of it and just accepting it and labeling it. It's not bad to put a label on it. How does it feel? It feels actually really good, as afraid I am to say the word. It feels empowering. I talked about this in the first few episodes, and I don't want this episode to be a reminiscent of all past episodes, but the episode Josh, which I want to say is episode 9, but don't quote me, was really the game changer for me. When I told his father that he did not kill himself, I will never forget that moment. Never. And that was the game changer for me. That's how I knew that I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I don't care if I get the weird looks. I don't care about what I have to go through. Just to have that one thing said and that impact on someone's life for 20 years, this man thought his son killed himself. And the first thing he said when we made a connection with his soul was that he didn't kill himself, literally blew my mind that I knew I was in. I was like, I'm in for life. Like, if these are the changes and the messages that I'm going to be able to deliver, how can I not be in? Like, I'm shoved into this, but I'm fully, like, I'm in now. I'm invested. So that was a real game changer for me. So I feel like whenever I am questioning it or wondering why I put myself through all this, not that I don't think it's a choice, but I kind of remember those really big, hard-hitting stories where they would have went the rest of their life not knowing that. And could you even imagine how that feels? So the Josh episode was a big one for me. And yeah, how does it feel? It feels good. It feels interesting. It feels scary but exciting. I feel like a lot of my fear has moved and a lot of excitement has come. I remember at the beginning, I was very afraid to post anything. I had no idea what to write about. I was kind of thinking like, who would even want to hear from me? Where now I'm excited to share things. I have ideas. I have things that I know people will want to hear. So it's really shifted. So next question, this one's an easy one. Do I love Banff? And the answer is yes, yes. Scream it from the rooftops, yes. I lived here from 2011 to 2015, and then I moved home from 2015 to 2018, and I've been back now for 2 years, and Banff is my home. Banff is my love. The mountains are so powerful. This space is incredible. The souls here are just next level. The vibe, the energy, I just love Banff. This is where I'm meant to be. I should have been born on the side of a mountain under a tree, but instead I was born in Ontario, and I just had to move my life here when I was old enough to. So this is a popular question. Do I plan on doing distant mediumship readings in the future? Ooh. My instinct, my gut is yelling yes. My mind and brain are yelling no. There's this internal battle of what I want to do with my mediumship, because right now I don't charge for it. I don't offer it. People just kind of find out what I do and book. So they'll book for Reiki, and while they're doing Reiki, it will come through. But I think, yes, eventually as my abilities grow and get stronger and I continue to grow as a developing medium, I will probably find myself in that world. Do I think it's going to be anytime soon? No. Right now I'm very into Reiki, teaching Reiki, doing Reiki. It is just, my vibe, my jam. And there's a lot that I can do with Reiki right now. So while mediumship isn't taking a back seat, it's definitely not my main focus to get readings up on my website as an offering. But I do feel like when I'm doing year 2 of the podcast and I listen to this episode, I'll probably be laughing at myself because in 6 months I'll be doing it. But do I plan on it? No, it's not on my goals. Yes, will it probably come to be? Yes. So this next question was actually super interesting, and a friend and I were recently talking about this. The question says, your journey has been very unique. How do you balance your love life into it? So that's a really good question. I was having lunch with a friend a few weeks ago, and I hadn't seen her in a few months, especially with COVID. It was probably a while since I saw her last, and she is friends with Joe. So I actually met her through Joe, and it was through coming back for her wedding. So she lives in Banff. We came back to her wedding, and when we came back to visit, I instantly knew that I was moving back to Banff. I was like, I need to come back. I need to move back. The plane wheels hadn't even touched down in Alberta, and I was already telling Joe that we needed to move back. We hadn't visited Banff in 3 years since we left. So I went through this, you could say, like breakup almost. It felt like a heartbreak, where year 1, people would ask me if I miss Banff, and I literally couldn't even answer. I would just stare at them like they were dumb. And I couldn't look at a picture of a mountain. I couldn't even watch on Instagram like the stories of my friends. If I would see a mountain, I would literally, like, tears would come to my eyes and I would close my phone. Year 2 set in like anger that I was gone. Then year 3, I knew that if I came back to visit, I would want to move back. I just knew it. So when we came back that year for her wedding, I was just like, I had never smiled so much. I remember my face hurt. My like joie de vivre was back. I remembered what it was like to love life again. Just seeing all my friends, being back in Banff. It was magical. So anyways, I was having lunch with her, and she was just like, what's new? How's it going? Like, how are boys? I was giving her the update, and she was kind of like, is it a big bomb to drop that you've been engaged before? And I was thinking like, I've never thought about that. And in my mind, I kind of like chuckled, and I was like, well, no, because most people in Banff like know me from before, and they know Joe, so they know that we were engaged. Or like it's a small town, like people, if you're asking about me, even new guys that I meet, they know that I was engaged. I was like, to be honest, the big bomb that I have to drop is that I'm a medium. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And I was like, yeah, so I can try to avoid saying that I have a podcast for as long as possible. And even if it slips out and I say I have a podcast, then they ask what it's about. And I can say, oh, it's about energy and I do Reiki and, kind of dance around it. Then if they ask the name of the podcast, I can say medium in the middle. And then if they don't clue in, I can kind of keep dancing around the subject, but eventually something about my podcast will come up. Something about what I'm doing will come up. Something about mediumship will come up, and then I'm stuck there having to explain it to this person I just met and get them to not think I'm crazy. So the good part is that I've had really good responses. I haven't had anyone, stop talking to me or anything like that. Guys are usually super interested in it. They're super interested in Reiki and they're very kind of open to it. So it's been really cool. It's been a really cool experience and something that I definitely didn't expect because you think that it's going to be this big bomb, but then it turns out not to be and you're like, "Oh, okay, cool." I still definitely don't lead with that and I still try to avoid saying that I have a podcast. But again, small town, it usually comes up. Or like we'll be with a friend or someone will meet someone and they'll be like, oh, like, have you heard Steph's a witch? It's kind of the ongoing joke. People in town know that I do Reiki. So then when they find out a story about that, eventually kind of thing they do find out. In terms of balance, I have no balance, you could say. I work 5 jobs and I work nearly every day. I am working on taking 1 day off a week or 1 day off every other week. But between everything, a lot of the things I do are passion projects. So I'm happy to do them and I'm not going to say no to clients or things that I need to do. So I don't really have balance, but I try to do everything that I love. So I really don't feel like I'm working 7 days a week. So I hope that answers your question. Next question is, why don't we remember our past lives? Ooh, good question. I want to just give kind of my opinion and what I think about this. So I think that we don't remember our past lives because, I feel like we do remember some parts of our past lives. And when you do things and it's almost like you've done it before, I definitely think that's a memory from your past. Or when you've seen something and you've known like you've seen it before, when you meet someone and you've met them before, kind of that deja vu. Like we've all had an experience where you're like, this is all too familiar. When we do something right away and we're good at it, those type of things I think are definitely carried forward from lifetime to lifetime. Why don't we remember specifically about, my last lifetime I was a maid. The 2 lifetimes before that I was a boy who was chopping wood. 3 lifetimes before that I died as a child. I don't think we remember all those details because I feel like it would crowd our mind the information that we need for the lifetime we're experiencing now. We come back to Earth to learn different lessons, to have different experiences. And while if we knew all of our past life information, I think it would hinder our human experience. So that's why we don't know it all, but it is why we can kind of find things out. So there are things like past life regressions or Akashic Records or other ways that you can get information about yourself, your soul, your past lives. And it's only kind of what you need in that moment to keep you going without being an overflow of information of here are your 87 past lives, everything from start to finish. I don't think that would be helpful. So that's why I personally think we don't remember them. They more show up as deja vu, or when we do things they're familiar, or when we meet people we know them. Sometimes they're like my daughter, I've known her in a different life. Sometimes we meet a friend and we're like, we used to be sisters. There's those kind of experiences. And I think those are important to know that we are, reincarnating, we're coming back, we're learning lessons. And it's not just one life, you die, poof, you go away. This is an ongoing thing. This question says, what's the biggest fear you've overcome in this work and how did you do it? Ooh. I would have to say the fear to do the thing, the fear to start anything, to start my Reiki business, to move my Reiki business, to do the mediumship thing, to start the podcast. the fear to start is so crippling, so crippling. And how did I overcome it? I feel like the drive and the push forward was just so strong that it's almost like I knew no other way. So, although there was fear, not doing it wasn't an option. Going the other way was not an option. I also think that fear is there to shape and form you and push you outside of your comfort zone. And when I worked for Lululemon, the biggest thing I took away from is that nothing will happen inside your comfort zone. No changes, no big aha moments will happen inside your comfort zone. And ever since I've left that company, I've just tried to live by this. So if I'm comfortable, I will make myself uncomfortable for change and for growth and for greater learnings. So a lot of the things I do to put myself in the most uncomfortable situations because I know that is when I'll grow, that is when I'll find growth, that is when I'll change as a person. And I've done these things where I've quit jobs and I've moved across the country and I've quit jobs again and I've done different things where I'm just like, nope, like this isn't working. I need to cut the ties. And through that, I know that I'll have to figure it out. And I always figure it out, but I'm not going to figure it out when I'm comfortable. You need to really push outside your comfort zone. So how did I overcome my biggest hurdle, which is always fear, is pushing through and knowing that the only way forward is forward. Not doing anything is going to make me more angry than I would if I did it and failed. And that's something that I feel like I think about often. I'd rather do something and fail than never do it and never know what happened. And nothing is ever really a failure. You'll always learn from an experience and be able to take something away or be able to learn for next time. So I don't really think there's even failures. There's just learnings. Like everything is a learning experience. If you look at everything as a learning experience, your eyes will be opened in a new way. That's a huge thing that I've learned. In anything that happens to me, I always think, what do I need to be learning right now? What am I not seeing right now? What's the lesson here? Why am I feeling this way? What do I need to be learning? Ask yourself, what do you need to be learning 10 times a day and see what happens to you. Okay, and the last question for today is, can I talk more about how Reiki opened up my spiritual gifts? Ooh, yes, I can. So I know I've said this story many times on the podcast, but I'll say it again. I did my Reiki level 1 and I had no idea what Reiki was. So actually this weekend when I hosted my first Reiki level 1 online and other people had no idea what Reiki was, it really kind of made my heart sparkle because that was me just over 2 years ago. After Reiki level 1, I was just super interested in it. So I started practicing and I practiced every day. I can confidently say I've nearly done Reiki every day since I've gotten my first ever attunement. In some way, shape, or form, I've done Reiki on a person, on a wall, some on myself. It was just, I dove right into it. So through that, I think, and through curiosity and wondering what I was experiencing, that's kind of how everything started to open. So Reiki level 1 started happening and I just was really into it, practicing every day. Then I had a lot of experiences to share for when I went to Reiki level 2. And then I had a lot of experiences between 2 and masters. So it was kind of, I think, an eye-opening experience. And literally my eyes were closed before, and I think through this self-discovery and through what was happening to me, slowly my eyes started to open more and more, and that's when I started to realize different gifts. That's how I started to realize that I was actually really good at Reiki. That's how I started to realize that I could speak to souls and what that meant, because then I started to look into that. And I really do want to credit my logical thinking brain. So my mind has to put everything in a box. I need to understand how things work. And because of that, I feel like I need to personally understand it. So I dove really deep into things because I needed to know how it worked. I needed to know how I got that information from a spirit. I needed to know how I knew the name. I needed to know how I knew your right ankle hurt. I needed to know how I knew that you had a scar where you did. I needed to know how I knew that, you don't sleep at night or whatever it could be. started off so small, but through that, it really grew. So I feel like I needed my logical brain to think. And I also really started to pay attention to my gut, my intuition, my inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it. I started to listen to it, and I've started to learn really hard lessons when I didn't listen, and I was severely rewarded when I did listen. So I feel like through Reiki and opening up the channels, I started to really listen into my intuition, and then that just started to guide me. So now I make every decision with my gut, every decision. Like, which way do I walk home tonight? What do I eat? Where do I go? Every single decision I make, I check in with myself. Just something that I really learned to do. And that became a tried and true way of connecting deeper and deeper and deeper, learning my own intuition, my own gifts, figuring out how they work, figuring out how to turn them on and off, figuring out how to get deeper, figuring out how to get more information. Only you are going to figure that out. No one can tell you your own gifts and how to use and work them and make them stronger. We can offer you different things to try, we can support you, but you need to do the work. I know I say this all the time. You need to try and fail. You need to try this and that. You need to try that and that. You need to try this and that. And you need to keep going until you figure it out. So I feel like a lot of my drive came from needing to figure it out. I needed to understand, so I would keep going and going and going until I understood. So now having that kind of understanding behind me has really made me sit very comfortably in my gifts because I get it now. I understand Reiki. I understand mediumship. I get how it works. So now I'm very happy to share that knowledge with other people. Okay, so I'm going to end the questions here, but thank you all for your questions. I do Q&As every few months, so keep an eye out for them on Instagram. It is Medium in the Middle on Instagram and Facebook. If you would like to book an appointment with me, Distance Reiki or Akashic Record Readings, you can book an appointment with me online on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. Everything will be linked in the show notes. And I was really excited at the beginning of the episode, so I didn't pull a card. So I'm going to pull a card for you, asking what the audience needs to know for week 52. Again, I'm using the Colette Baron Reed Enchanted Map deck. I have ordered 2 new decks, so they're coming, and I'm excited to use them. But until then, I still love this deck. I was gifted it for my Reiki Masters course, and I still haven't seen all cards, and I've been using it for a year. So I think that's wild, because I pull a card often. So let's see what the deck has to say for us today. So I was actually really called to do a 3-card pull today. So I pulled 3 cards, and I'm going to go through each of them. So usually a 3-card pull is kind of past, present, future. I'm kind of getting that vibe, or I'm getting the vibe of these are just things that we need to know right now, because no, that's all for right now. Okay, so 3 cards. We're going to do them one by one. So the first card was card number 21, Field of Dreams. And I can't remember if I pulled this card before, but I don't recognize it. So Field of Dreams. Your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are always engaging the vast field of pure potential. This is the perfect time to harness the field of vast potential not yet realized in your life. Great abundance is yours if you're willing to do the work alongside the gentle gardener. Be clear about your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Concentrate on your best life regardless of the temporary outer conditions imposed upon you by the greater world, which has its own story to tell. You have a basket full of seeds that are quite powerful, for your talents are divinely inspired and will indeed lead to a great harvest to be shared with others. You will reap what you have sown. Dream big, dream beautiful, take action, and tend to the garden of your life, and experience the extraordinary. Okay, that card was 1000% for episode 52. I mean, come on. Thank you, universe. Okay, next card is card 33, Peaks of Joy. We're riding a high vibe. Your life is filled with happiness, so share it with others. Yeah, it is. And I'm sharing it here in this episode. Joy is yours today. No matter what your inquiry, you will be happy with the results. You're coming closer to a sense of achievement, and you've worked hard for it. You're surrounded by true companions and events that are synchronistically arranged to bring you to the next level of your life. The world is singing a beautiful harmony. Life is exhilarating and hopeful. Let gratitude fill your heart and remember to share your happiness. Joy is contagious. Ooh-wee, guys! I love these cards so far. I would clap if clapping noise on a podcast wasn't awful to hear. But I'm liking these messages. Okay, last one. Card number 22. Intention. Deliberate, clear intentions have the power to change your world. Your objectives will be fulfilled at this time. Inspired intentions are like magic arrows shot into the sky. Ooh. The universe is bringing you a gift, showing you that you're hitting your mark. Recognize that you're not the one who has to do all the work. However, others help you co-create reality. You connect to the power of your intention, sending it out into the field, then allow for synchronicity to work its magic. Perhaps the good intentions of others will inspire you to send out beautiful ones of your own. Own the life you want to lead, and live deliberately with clarity and detachment. Whew, guys. Okay, I'm sorry, but I think that was actually a reading for me. These are such good vibe cards. I like this. Card 21, Field of Dreams. Card 33, Peaks of Joy. Card 22, Intention. I hope that resonated with you as well. Maybe everyone is going through good vibes, joyous times as well, and it's not just me celebrating episode 52. I hope that you are all feeling this joy wherever you are listening. And as always, these cards will be posted on my Instagram at Medium in the Middle if you want to physically see the cards. But I use the Colette Baron Reed Enchanted Map deck. I also think it's super cool that a few of you have bought this deck and sent me photos of it. I love that. I also love when you DM me and tell me about if these cards resonated with you or not. That's super cool. And a big part of the podcast that I think I wasn't really expecting is the connections that I have made. So a lot of connections online, which I've never had with strangers. So yeah, a big part of my life has been putting my life online because I did move across the country from my family. So for the past 10 years, I've been used to kind of sharing everything because it saves you having the same conversation over and over and over again when everybody can just see what you're doing. And with the podcast, it's been incredible because I've been able to connect with people from all over the world with similar interest and just meet amazing human beings that I would never be able to meet in my life. So that's been a really big takeaway for me. And I am so happy that now I get to see clients that listen to the podcast. I get to teach Reiki to people who listen to the podcast. And there's just this connection that we automatically have because you know a piece of me. You know my journey. You know my story. So the fact that I can connect with people on the internet who know everything is just so amazing because you could know more than some of my friends or family who don't know the whole story, who don't know every single thing that happened. So the connections have been something I really didn't expect from the podcast, but have blown me out of the water, especially in the last 6 months. I feel like Corona definitely, pushed that forward because then we all had time to chat and then we all had time to video chat and then we all had time to, Zoom together. And we're like, oh, like you're cool and I'm cool and we have a lot to talk about. Do you want to talk next week too? Okay, like do you want all three of us to talk and maybe we could help each other out? So that's been a beautiful blessing from the podcast. And I, of course, want to thank you, my listeners. I know this podcast is going to do big things. I know it's going to grow this year. I have a really good feeling I'm going to get signed by iHeartRadio or someone major and amazing who is going to support this podcast in a huge and amazing way. I just have to keep going and doing what I'm doing. I want to come to YouTube. I want to continue to teach Reiki. I literally am so lit up and fired up to do all the things. And it's all thanks to this podcast, because this was the first step. This was the biggest fear I had to overcome and get through in order for all these other doors to open. So if you're sitting on the edge of something, push through. Trust me, it's worth it. Trust me, you will be caught if you jump. You just need to jump. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my 52nd episode. We've been on for a full year, a little bit more than a year, but we've had some breaks. So I appreciate you. I couldn't be filled with more joy and happiness right now. So thank you for listening. I am the medium in the middle. My name is Stephanie, and I will see you all next Tuesday with a brand new intro. Have a great week. Bye, guys.